Okay, picture this. It's the middle of a scorching summer heatwave, and one of the biggest bands in the world is writing a Christmas anthem. They don't even want to do it, and the song's iconic opening? It's played on an instrument they borrowed from John Lennon, who just happened to be recording next door. Sounds made up, right? Well, it's not. We all know these songs. They're the soundtrack to December, blasting in shopping malls, playing at family dinners, and stuck in our heads for a month straight. They've been around for so long, we think we know them, but the stories behind how they were made are wilder than you can imagine. The 60s and 70s were a golden age for the Christmas single, a time when every major pop star was expected to drop a holiday track. But these weren't just cynical cash grabs. These were songs born from anti-war protests, personal tragedies, bizarre last-minute collaborations, and pure accidental genius. Today we're digging into the surprising and sometimes shocking stories behind your favorite Christmas songs. First up, a song that's less about sleigh bells and more about sending a message. By 1971, John Lennon was famously sick of hearing Bing Crosby's White Christmas.
And may all your Christmases.
But more than that, he and Yoko Ono were deep into their peace campaign against the Vietnam War. They had already plastered billboards in cities across the globe with a simple, stark message: war is over if you want it. Happy Christmas from John and Yoko. That slogan became the heart of a song Lennon sketched out on his acoustic guitar in a New York hotel room. He didn't want another jolly holiday tune. He wanted a Christmas song with a purpose, one that made people stop and think. Working with the legendary producer Phil Spector, they brought in the Harlem Community Choir to give the song its massive anthemic feel. And if you listen closely, the track opens with whispered Christmas greetings to their children from previous marriages. Yoko whispers, "Happy Christmas, Kyoko," and John follows with "Happy Christmas, Julian."
Happy Christmas, Kyoko.
Happy Christmas, Julian. But here's where the story takes a twist. The song was rushed out in the United States on December 1st, 1971, and it completely bombed, failing to make a real dent in the charts.
So happy Christmas for black and for...
Its UK release was even worse. A dispute over publishing rights delayed its debut for an entire year, until November 1972, and even then, it only climbed to number 4. It took time, and tragically, Lennon's death in 1980 for the song to be re-released and finally recognized as the powerful peace anthem we know today. It's a Christmas classic born from activism, tripped up by industry politics, and ultimately a plea for peace that just seems to get louder every year. Now, let's go from a plea for peace to an all-out glam rock party. In 1973, Slade was arguably the biggest band in Britain, but a Christmas song was the last thing on their minds. The idea actually came from their manager, Chas Chandler, and a dare from bassist Jim Lee's mother-in-law, who challenged him to write a song that would be played forever, just like Bing Crosby's. The band's first reaction? No thanks. But the idea lingered. During a US tour, Lee woke up one morning with the verse melody fully formed in his head. He realized it was a perfect fit for a chorus from an old psychedelic-style song that singer Noddy Holder had written back in 1967 and then tossed aside. After a night out at the pub, Holder went back to his parents' house, grabbed a bottle of whiskey, and hammered out the lyrics in a single sitting. He wanted to capture the chaos of a real British family Christmas and offer an optimistic escape from the strikes and economic gloom gripping the country, which gave us the line, "Look to the future now, it's only just begun." The band recorded the track in New York during a blistering summer heatwave in 1973. To get that huge echoey sound for the chorus, they recorded their vocals in the hallway outside the main studio. You can just imagine the confused looks from American office workers as these 4 Brits screamed, "It's Christmas!" in the sweltering heat. And here's the best part. John Lennon happened to be in the studio next door, finishing his Mind Games album. That slightly wheezy iconic keyboard intro to Merry Christmas Everybody, that wasn't a piano. It was a harmonium that was just sitting in the studio, an instrument that had just been used by, and was borrowed from, John Lennon. This song was an immediate sensation. It had 500,000 advance orders and sold over 1 million copies on its first release, easily hitting Christmas #1 in 1973.
Are you hanging up a stocking on your wall?
It was pure lightning in a bottle, a perfect blast of glam rock joy cooked up in the most un-Christmassy conditions imaginable. with a little accidental help from a Beatle. Now, not every 70s Christmas hit was a party, though. Some were much more thoughtful, even a bit cynical. In 1975, Greg Lake, the voice of prog rock titans King Crimson and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, was stuck. He had this beautiful guitar riff but couldn't turn it into a song. In a moment of frustration, he just started humming Jingle Bells over it. He told his writing partner, Peter Sinfield, who suggested they make it a Christmas song. Lake hated the idea. To him, most Christmas songs were cheesy, and he couldn't stand how the holiday had turned into a commercial feeding frenzy. But that disgust became his inspiration. They decided to write a song protesting the over-commercialization of Christmas and mourning the loss of childhood innocence. The lyrics were surprisingly dark, talking about how they sold me a dream of Christmas and how the magic wasn't real.
They said there'll be snow at Christmas.
The final line, "The Christmas you get, you deserve," was a biting commentary.
Christmas we get, we deserve.
But Lake insisted it wasn't an anti-religious song. He said it was about losing your innocence and a reminder to find the real spirit of Christmas, peace and goodwill. The song, with its magnificent orchestral break borrowed from a piece by the composer Prokofiev, was a massive hit. It was famously kept from the #1 spot by the juggernaut that was Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. It remains one of the most beautiful and thought-provoking Christmas songs ever, a protest song disguised as a carol. Now, this might be the most unlikely collaboration in music history. In 1977, David Bowie, deep in his experimental Berlin phase, was booked for Bing Crosby's annual TV special, Merry Old Christmas. Why? Well, apparently he only agreed to do it because his mum was a huge Bing Crosby fan. The plan was for the two to sing a simple duet of The Little Drummer Boy. Bowie flat out refused. He famously said, "I hate that song," and was ready to walk. With only an hour before taping, the show's writers scrambled into a back room in a total panic. In a burst of desperate genius, they wrote a brand new counter-melody called Peace on Earth, designed to weave around Crosby's traditional version. They showed the new arrangement to Bowie. He loved it. He and Crosby, two singers from different planets, rehearsed for less than an hour before recording the iconic performance. The scripted chat between them is delightfully awkward and a perfect snapshot of this bizarre cultural moment.
Years from now, perhaps we'll see.
Tragically, just over a month later, on October the 14th, 1977, Bing Crosby died of a heart attack after finishing a round of golf in Spain. The TV special aired weeks after his death, turning the duet into his poignant, unplanned farewell. But the story doesn't stop there. The song wasn't released as a single for another 5 years. It was only after bootleg copies started circulating that RCA officially released it in November 1982. It shot to number 3 in the UK charts, becoming a massive posthumous hit for a legend and a surprising mainstream moment for a rebel. From peace protests to glam rock parties and last-minute panics, the stories behind these songs are as memorable as the tunes themselves. They add a whole new layer to the music we hear every December. So, which of these stories surprised you the most? Are there other classic Christmas songs whose backstories you've always wondered about? Let me know in the comments. The Christmas music of the 60s and 70s was so much more than festive jingles. It was a reflection of the times, a mix of hope, rebellion, and pure, unadulterated joy. These artists took a genre that could easily be stale and injected it with personality, artistry, and incredible stories. So, the next time you hear that familiar harmonium intro, or that wild duet between a crooner and a spaceman, maybe you'll think of the sweltering heatwave, the last-minute scramble, and the artists who created the soundtrack to Christmas as we know it. The songs have always been there, but now you know the stories you never knew.